Hello and welcome back to the DP World Tour Picks and Bets. Skylar Hoke is here, joined by Tom Jacobs. Tom, if I'm not mistaken, that looks like a range goat shirt over there. You sporting them?
Yeah, I did wonder if this was a bit of a conflict of interest for the DP World Tour show, and then realised I didn't really think to change in time. Yes, I do like the range goats, mainly because of, I guess, interviewing Peter Uline a couple of times, but also definitely the best logo in Live, I would say. So
the teams have switched too much. I couldn't even tell you who's on each. I know that was the OG Peters team, so that's what I remember.
Well, it wasn't. That's the thing. So he was on. He was on. I think he's changed like twice, but like I said, I feel like he captained someone, and then he was on the 4 Aces, and then he was traded with Peters to the Range Goats so that he could be on the team with Matt Wolf and Bubba Watson.
Okay.
So, but I just like the logo all along, and then I guess Peter being on the team as an added bonus. But yeah, so I do like the logo. Very good T-shirt, I would say, which was quite surprising actually from the merch tent. But yeah,
we'll kick it from Live and we'll go over to our homestead DP World Tour here, coming off of a fun week at the Nexo Championship. Grant Forrest won in commanding fashion. I think what ended up being 6 strokes, right? Or 5 strokes after he struggled in the last hole. Just truly impressive from him at what was a really, a links test and a difficult one that popped up with some conditions over the weekend. So I loved being back in action on the DP World Tour. As hard as it was to kind of project or think what it was going to be, being a month since we've seen the guys, and in that month there was American events that they played in. It was just a lot of question marks. And Tom, we were kind of all over it, right? I think 4 or 5 of our selections inside the top 12, 2 hitting the places. Jacob Skov-Olsen finishing 3rd, John Perry as well finishing 3rd, and then Lindell just missed out on the places. Eddie Pepperell in the mix, Chris Wrighton top 5, right? Yep.
So I think it was one of those kind of like one first of all, like, great for Grant Forrest to win on home soil and do it in such dominating fashion, right? Tough for us that we were that close and really had no chance. I mean, actually, at one point, Filippo Celli was like 2 shots behind. He was like 4 under on the day on Friday, and then all of a sudden just made an 8 out of nowhere, and then shot, I think it was like 83 on Saturday or something ridiculous. So it could have been, far better. Pepperell was in the places all week long, and then suddenly just fell out. I think he bogeyed like 4 of his last 6 holes or something ridiculous. So yeah, you're all over it with Parry and Olsen. Lindell was there. Lindell, best finish of the season in 7th, which I was quite surprised about. I thought he would have had a top 5 by now, but I think it goes to show that there's consistency there, but not necessarily the upside from Lindell at the moment.
Don't say that, because I'm, spoiler alert, betting him again this week.
Well, so am I. So hopefully I'm wrong on that. But yeah, so I think it's an interesting one for sure. And it was a good tournament. I thought it was quite a good course to watch. And I don't know if it's coming back next year, but it'd be welcomed. It is.
Yeah. Players seem to love it, saying, I saw Mansell tweet that he thought it was the best course that he has ever played. So gotta love a good links test. So I was happy to see that. And we get ourselves another new course on the DP World Tour. So one of my favorite events, and this is, I think, why it's kind of rained up there for me, is the support that the Danish Golf Championship always gets is so cool. I don't know the things that they call them that they always have. The fans get to have like the noisemakers in their hands. That always, there used to be at the old course that they'd play at, they had that little stadium par 3 or on a hill, right? The short one that they'd hit from, that the fans would go wild at. But they're moving over to, and Tom, I don't even dare say it, Froskok. Like, I think it's a K at the end when they do that slash thingy. I'm not sure.
I'm glad you said it, not me. I mean, it's the fact they spell club with a K as opposed to C. It's all good fun, but I'm guessing, like, I needed to pay closer attention to it. Now, the cool thing about the course and the content out there on the week is, if you probably want to know how to better pronunciate it and listen through it, our friends Ben Coley and Sam Harrop, they have the Slice podcast where
Rasmus Niergaard Peterson was on with them this week. And Sam had tweeted back to me this morning, said they just happened to have him as a guest and didn't realize that this is his home course. So he goes through a little bit of what he thinks the course could look like. Said he's played upwards of 600, 700 rounds around here. It's a 3 9-hole different tracks coming together for 27 holes, that they're going to be a kind of a composite course, get some of the boring ones out there. RNP thought it would play maybe like 7,100 to 7,200 yards. Based off of the way I looked at it and what he confirmed, Parkland's, nothing too crazy about the course. The fear that I have, more than Rasmus was kind of letting on, I think we could get some bonkers scoring this week. So when I did a little bit of research, the front 9 has upwards of 3 par 4s that I feel like are drivable. And then 2 other par 5s. Like he said, there's going to be people that are going out in 6 under through 9 holes on the front 9. And if there's any rain, we could definitely see some scores into the 20s. So now this was only a small bit of the conversation. So again, definitely go listen to Sliced, as overall, I thought it was really cool to hear from Niergaard Peterson. And he's one of the rising talents. He's also 14-1 in a lot of spots on this field with it. Now, odds board. I'm never one to wake up and be like, man, this is a terrible board. I can't believe the odds for golf. It is what it is a lot of the times, and I'm not here to come in, but I'm not sure I've ever seen this many golfers under 20-1, Tom. This is absurd.
It's the worst priced market I've seen in a long time. And this is coming from someone that's taken someone from the top. But like when I was kind of preempting my article this morning, I was kind of had this impression that the Danish guys would be like the leading trio, right? Like we'd have Nikolai, Rasmus Nigel Peterson, and Rasmus Aagaard. And it would be like they would be there, and then there'd be a little bit of a dip. And I thought Matt Wallace would be next. And I thought you'd get a decent discount on Matt Wallace based on the fact that he's not Danish, right? That was my kind of thought process. And all of a sudden, they've just shoehorned everybody into that same price bracket. And it's tough. I mean, you're not really... It's very much a case of they don't know who to pick. They don't know who of that group of people to pick. So they're just pricing them all exactly the same, not really giving you any kind of hope on any of them, really. I mean, even like Jesper Svensson, I mean, he's been playing well on the PGA Tour, right? But just to put him in there at 20-1, it's just like... really tough. So you've got to kind of get creative with who else is in the field, I think, as opposed to the favourites. But we've had some weird winners over the years, right, of this tournament. LaCroix won it last year ahead of Bjerregaard, who hadn't done a lot for a while. Oliver Wilson won it in 2022. Julian Suri won it in 2017. Horsey and
speaking of, shout out Julian Suri on his way for a PGA Tour card. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see him come back. And yeah, you've had some crazy winners here. So I think it's that type of tournament where we could, and that's why I've very much formed my card of 2 kind of shorter price and 2 bombs. But it's not a well-priced tournament by any means. And very much I'm sticking with my guy because I just think he's going to win again before the season's out, and I don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I mean, 8 golfers 20-1 or lower, but no golfers shorter than, best price 12-1 with Nikolai. Right there with RMP. Now, again, with the style of the course, I went into it a couple ways. If it's Parklands and it's going to take away the ability to really accentuate how good you are driving distance-wise or power-wise, I think that's a factor that brings everybody back in. Yet the ability to potentially drive 3 to 5 par 4s also makes me think, how can it not be beneficial to be one of the longer hitters? So I struggled up here. I mean, I think of the selections, you're correct with Christopher Wrighton of the one that I would land on too. So why are you going back to the well?
Yeah, look, I just think with Wrighton, it was in the end, Days of Golf will tell you it was around the green game, but it was his putting on Sunday that really held him back. He struggled with the slow greens on Sunday, but the putter has been the most reliable, thing in the bag, really. Maybe the driver, I guess, take it or leave it between the two. But he's just been a great driver, great putter every single tournament. We've said this for a long time now. I think it's only the Italian Open had a rare week off, right? And I just think once the test gets easier, which I believe this week it will be, as you said, we could see someone at 6 under through 9. Once it's very basic and in front of you, I just think the best player is going to come out on top. And ultimately, I think he's the best player at the moment. And that sounds ridiculous when you've got the two Højgaards, you've got Nørgaard Peterson, and we're not 100% sure because obviously these guys have got to drop down from the PGA, but they're not setting the world like the two Højgaards. Matt Wallace is, got the pressure of trying to get the Ryder Cup, and I mentioned to you about like thinking we're going to get a discount on Wallace. If he had been longer than Raitan or even the same price, I probably would have bet both and just left it at that, because I truly believe that Wallace is so desperate for that Ryder Cup spot that he can kind of lean himself into it. The one thing I would say to him, or not to him, but about him, is that he won this as his third tournament one year and still didn't get into the Ryder Cup. So to think that he's just randomly going to win this and then get in is tough. I think that team's pretty much locked in, right? Who's
the 12th guy?
So I think they're just replacing one of the Højgaards.
Right. So goes Nicolai to Rasmus?
Yeah, potentially.
I would like to think it's hard to press, right? You have again, I think writing on the team is the biggest stretch probably out there, but you're betting him, and he's similar price to him. I feel like all of these guys should have a chance if they go hot in the next month.
I honestly think Raitan would make so much sense. And one of the comments I made in this thing and sort of more into Raitan, other than just I think he's the best player on the tour at the moment, but Victor Hovland seems to, I think he houses a lot of like the Oklahoma guys when they come out on tour and play games and play tournaments, right? And I think for me, if he can give Raitan that kind of buddy mentoring system on the PGA Tour, I think he can really succeed. I mean, having Hovland to kind of guide you through it's going to be a bonus. And when you think about that and then think, well, if he wins another tournament this week, which I certainly think he can, he has to be in the conversation. I would
think the same for Penge too, truthfully. Yeah. Like both of them are the similar type of players in that way that power should benefit them at Bethpage.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put any of that past Luke Donald and Dodo Molinari being able to make a decision like that. Because it's not like Rasmus or Nicolai have done. I mean, I guess Rasmus was up there at the Open Championship for a bit, right? But it's not like they're lighting the world on fire either, like you said, right?
I mean, we've obviously got Rory, Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood are all qualified. McIntyre, Hatton, Straka, Lowry are all going to be in. Ludwig, Victor, Fitz is back in now, I guess.
Fitz 10, and then isn't Rose the 11th? Or no, Fitz is 9, Rose is 10, Rahm is 11.
Well, Rose is already in. Rose is like qualified.
Okay, yeah. So I think there's 11 locks. It's just the 12th spot.
Yeah, and when you look at that, it's like Dietrich, Aaron Ride,
Harry Hall.
Like, I guess in theory, like with how consistent Harry Hall's been on the PGA Tour, like he should probably get it. But like just this opportunity to kind of flash on European soil over this next month, I just think plays right into Raitan's hands. And look, I don't think he's going to get it. I think it's just going to be one of the Højgaards or probably a Dietrich or someone like that. But I don't know what else he would have to do to get on the team, because I don't think, other than if he gets on the PGA Tour and then suddenly he's still good in 2 years' time, I don't know how he's in a better spot than this. He's playing such good golf.
Yep. I don't disagree. But I guess bar aside, I think that's the selection at the top of the board.
Yeah.
Now, if I was to think through, outside of those guys of who didn't get the price bump, I mean, Norgard Moeller, again, probably getting the home narrative built into the price. I just don't understand why Sammy Valimaki's 35-40 to 1 versus everyone else when he's had a similar year as any of those guys. Maybe doesn't have the power, yet can score. I mean, I just think it's a bad price relative on Valimaki, who, in my opinion, Sunday leaderboard top 5 up there. I trust him as much as anybody on that front page to win. Sure, that is, I guess, now 3-4 years old since we've really had him in that stretch of top tier golf. But I just think Valimaki 12th going into Sunday at the Wyndham Championship recently. He went berserk during the summer when it came to irons and scoring. I just think that game of his is pretty still in play when it comes to form perspective. And I don't get why he's double the price of everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's like Rasmus Højgaard finished 85th in the FedEx, Valimaki 87th, Nicolai was 73rd. He had that good run towards the end of the season, right? But to your point, like not an awful lot to choose between them. Jesper Svensson was 110th. I guess the difference being, I think it's just a bit out of mind with Valimaki. We just haven't seen him in Europe a lot, and I think that's where he gets hurt. Like he is fully committed to the PGA Tour, and it's not like one of these. Every time he drops back to the DP World Tour, he plays so well, because he just hasn't done it for the last couple of seasons. And I think that's probably just to your point, helped his odds, but damaged his, I guess, people thinking he's going to go and win.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I mean, he's going to come back for the fall swing, right? And go through, and all these guys have a busy rest of the year, honestly. And that is the one thing where, like, if we went back to Ryder Cup, like, I'm hard pressed that the Højgaards deserve the last spot. The fact that they weren't even in the playoffs, like that's such a tick to Rye, Hall, Dietrich, and those guys. So now if we kept going down the board, I guess we go right into your next selection, right? Oh, I guess I have one before we would get to Lindell. The golfer that I really don't think got well, I guess yes and no. I bet Jacob Skov-Olsen at virtually the same price 7 days ago in a much weaker field, right? Like, I think it was still top heavy in Smith and Wrighton and Penge, but doesn't have the PGA Tour guys. And Olsen's price didn't budge in the sense of get bigger when he comes up into his home country off of the third place finish. Now, virtually wrote Skov-Olsen off after his opening holes. He was 4 over through 4 on Thursday, right? Closed the day even par. And then on Friday morning, opened with another double. He went double on the first hole Thursday and Friday on par 5s. And then he doubled another hole on Saturday morning. So the fact that he was able to finish T3, he was solo second until the bogey at the last hole where he went OB. Just to be able to, I guess, have the mindset of not giving up, having the ability to score like he does. I mean, Tom, he's had such a good year. I think it's just being slept on, right? I mean, we've bet him a lot and we pay close attention to him. So I think overall, like, we understand the type of player he is. Now, late blooming in the sense that his professional career started at 24, 25, but this is now his fifth top 10, since turning professional 24 months ago, right? Yeah. The Open Championship, or 12 months ago, the Open Championship last year. Like, this kid, I mean, he can play.
Well, it's like one of the most intriguing things about Olesen is that you look at his last 25 starts and it's all like still including his amateur stuff, right? That's just to your point, like how green he is, and you see that, and then you see he's 26 years old, and you think, what happened? But he was 5th in this a year ago, albeit at a different golf course. And then again, to your point, 9th in Mauritius, 7th in Joburg, 8th for the Volvo China Open, and 3rd last week. I feel like we've said this a couple of times now, and I don't know if we've got to a definitive answer, but I'm still struggling to find out what he is, right? Like, I think we've kind of mentioned, like, is he a links guy? He lacks distance off the tee. But then he's not entirely accurate either. It's not like a Kuvra who very much is accuracy over distance. He's kind of a mixed bag, but just seems to be able to get it done in different ways. Last couple of starts, he's been kind of putter based, but before that was the cut that held him back from kind of winning. So it really is hard to get a grasp on what he is, other than just a very high potential player. And probably all the time he's available at kind of 40s and upwards, you should probably just give him a second glance.
Yeah, I think the fact that he doesn't have like a resounding category is probably better for his future, right? We're not pigeonholing him into anything. I do think links is probably where he does his best work. Being able to score like he did when others weren't, just kind of able to climb him up the leaderboard, I think.
I think it's the attitude you mentioned. Like, I think he's just like willing to deal with a bad hole. And like, I think he listened to Pepperell gave a good interview on Friday, and they were sort of saying, why are you playing so well on links out of nowhere, basically. He said, look, I don't think I'm playing well. I'm just accepting bad shots, getting good results on links, which is why he's so good at it. And it's quite refreshing to hear that. And I think that's probably the same with Olesen. Like, he's never going to lead the ball striking charts. So, if you're to believe his data golf stuff, like, he's sometimes has a good iron week, but never kind of marries the two together. But yeah, I just think he's just a gamer. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, which I love to be backing in that sense. Now, you mentioned how maybe Oliver Lindell is the opposite of a gamer in the sense of what we've seen from a good approach profile. I mean, his approach has just been dynamite. Right? I mean, he is such a trust in leading that category or being up there near the top every single week. Again, similar to Olesen, right? Did not get the price movement of what a good week or what you'd think of of the top end getting stronger. Yet I still feel like we could have seen Lindell much shorter than where he is, and that's why I feel like we can easily just go back to the well.
Yeah, like I think, like look, he's hung out here at like what 55-1, still 50-1 in places, and yet I think if he was 35-1, I'd still consider it. Like Joost Luiten and Andy Sullivan that don't move, and I know you've got this kind of background of them winning, but it's a long time ago, right? And yes, we're saying that Lindell doesn't win. I mean, he didn't on the Challenge Tour last year, but what he did do is, finish inside the top 10 in, what was it, like 7 straight events or 8 straight events at the end of the season. And I think we're getting to that point of him again now. I think he's found himself, he's really comfortable. He's been inside the top 30 in 6 of his last 8 events. And I know I'm someone that labours on 1 point after I've made it 2 weeks ago, but it feels very Chris Gotterup on the PGA Tour equivalent, right? In the sense that he's just there. He's always there. He safely gets through the cut. The ball striking is phenomenal. It looks like at any point, if he just somehow starts finding some fairways, he's going to win. It's that simple. And I mean, it's obviously not that simple for him, but apparently that's the simple recipe. And to be able to finish in 7th place, to be able to finish inside the top 10 in Italy, 12th in Turkey, and inside the top 30 at a major championship based on hot irons and a putter, it does make you wonder what can happen. It's getting gradually okay off the tee. It's not as disastrous as it was. So, I mean, any kind of positive from there is going to be great.
Yeah, I think, of course, there's probably like the longer and the more advantage of a driver it is, it's probably the less I'd like him. So I think there's a chance that he could just maybe even take irons off the tee even more. I always feel like that a player that takes irons off the tee, if their approach game is good for some reason, that you could just double up on the approach bucket. Yeah.
I think with him though, like to your point earlier about like, oh, do we want a bomber on this type of golf course? Like you obviously do, to give yourself those 4 or 5 reachable holes in terms of par 4s and the par 5s. He can just birdie every par 5 the way he's playing. Right? Yeah. Just so the other guys have got to eagle that. Every time you drive a par 4, it doesn't necessarily mean an eagle, right? Yes, the opportunity gained and all those kind of stats are different for these longer hitters. But the way he's hitting his irons, if he just finds the middle of the fairway on a par 4 and then just hits a wedge in, he's absolutely fine. So
that's why, honestly, Penge is like the most frustrating golfer I've like tracked. Now, his approach game was really bad last week, but even on weeks that he's had good approach, he's not a very good par 5 player. He has let it go. So I think that PGA Championship was the one we brought home earlier this year. I think he led the field in par 4 scoring, yet was like dead last people who made the cut in par 5. Same thing last week. If he figures out his par 5 scoring, I'm telling you, like Penge is going to be a multiple PGA Tour winner, like quickly, in my opinion. Okay, so we're Lindell together, and then from there we're deep. I guess I have 100-1 shout. Anybody in this middle pack that you gave like a
honestly found it quite uninspiring. I looked at Joe Dean just because he had a good result last week.
Links player. We just got to remember Dean Links.
Yeah, and that's so 2 people that I looked at and then quickly jumped off was Joe Dean and Micheluzzi, and I think it's because they benefited from playing at Links Golf last week, and I don't know that they're playing well enough to just build on that a week later. I think we've just seen the same as sort of like Dan Brown and stuff, right? Like I think if you have a good Links result or a good result on a course that you like, and then you just suddenly expect it to follow up, it hasn't really been the case. So I honestly found this quite hard. Marcel Schneider's been playing well, but other than that, I wasn't too bothered. So the guy that you're going to talk about 100-1 was probably next up on my thought.
Yeah. Andreas Halverson is the one for me. 100-1 flat best price right now. I mean, Halverson, I would say kind of just completely unknown, right? I guess he played on the Challenge Tour last year. He had gotten a win over there, had 3 other top 10s, which got him like kind of fringy DP World Tour status. Still had to go to qualifying school, did not play that great this year, but has gotten into enough events that we've seen a little bit more from him. Now he has 2 top 10s, Mauritius Hero Indian Open for him, and then another top 20 at the Italian Open. And then when he did pop down to the Challenge Tour twice this year, a runner-up and a top 20. Just a better resume for him overall. But what we're starting to see come into his own, I think, is the distance. Now, like if I am looking into probably down the board a little bit more specific skill sets, like he kind of fit that bill of who's the bomber playing or at least flashing. He was out really quickly last start, has shown some 18-hole flashes, enough for me to see the name on top of the leaderboard. He popped into the Nordic Golf League event during the break, finished sixth. Just little things that I like to see. I thought there was a lot of price discovery. I feel like that could have happened with him. He could have easily been a 75-1 golfer or 150 to 200. 100 still felt safe enough to me, though, that I'm intrigued enough at the profile that he could fit here.
I feel like he was massive last week, though. If I remember, I'm pretty sure he was like 400s one last week, and the only thing that I could be wrong about that, by the way, but like the only thing that really concerned me, and the reason I ultimately didn't pick him in the end, was just the iron play. Like the iron play is just bad right now. That is true of other golfers that have, finished well. When he's finished fifth in Mauritius and sixth in the Indian Open, we haven't got the data to say whether he had a good iron week or not. I'm sure he might have done to produce those results. The one that stands out is Sadao, right? In terms of just had some good iron play there and just couldn't marry up anything else. Couldn't do it off the tee. Couldn't do it with the putter. So he can flash. And again, just another person that you think about the fact that he won the Danish Challenge last year, and I think that's why he's probably priced at 100 to 1 as opposed to 250, right? He's made an impact quick at these two levels, Challenge Tour and the DP World Tour. So he was up there for a good couple of rounds last week, right? Like the final result isn't as telling as kind of what I think he was inside the top 10 after 2 rounds. So I think he's definitely someone to watch. It's definitely a first round leader market. I looked at him last week for the first round leader market and didn't do it, and he finished second. So that was a bit of a blow.
Yeah, he winning in Denmark, I think, is pretty solid last year too. Chasing down some good DP World Tour competition too, or Challenge Tour, now DP World Tour competition.
And that was the one thing I didn't say about Raitan. He was 7th in this event after 54 holes last year. Different golf course, but like that was way before this kind of run of one of the best players on DP World Tour started. Right, since then he's won for the first time on the Challenge Tour, won for the first time on the DP World Tour, a couple of runner-up finishes. So that Danish stuff, I do really like this location for him. I do think it's really important. I'm pretty sure the design is the same as this, as it was in the Himmerland. So as much as it's a different golf course, it's something to keep in mind as well.
The two others near 100 to 1 that I at least did some triple takes on. There's the fresh golfer playing out of the PGA Tour University, got some Korn Ferry Tour starts, but they didn't miss him in the odds. Pablo Arreño or Pablo Arreño Perez listed 2. UCLA golfer, finished top 30 in his first DP World Tour event last week. But again, 100 to 1 flat. Sometimes you can catch them slipping on that. Looks like he has some potential driving distance too to him. And then I wanted to bet Davis Bryant, top 10 through 3 rounds. I don't know, man. Like he's got the mini tour wins and accolades, and I want to root for him. Seems a little bit more short game happy than what could end up playing here, was why I went elsewhere.
Yeah, I think I was just so let down. I was so convinced he was going to win that time at the ISCO, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've just been burnt. I keep getting drawn to his name. The other one that you're talking about Americans, I was drawn to Troy Merritt a little bit, and I feel like this might be a little bit more his speed. If you look at the Sadao Open, he finished 4th there. He was 27th the following week in Austria. He was only 54 for the ISCO, but he started nicely, 5th after round 1, 22nd still the weekend. Made the cut at the 3M Open pretty solidly, and then 31st last week. I think Troy Merritt's showing signs that he can win on this tour at least, right? There wasn't enough to really get behind one way or another. It's not like he had some great underlying numbers, and he was just getting unlucky. Like his strokes gain data is pretty poor across the board. But I just think in terms of just profile of player, he could surprise.
Yeah, it's still hard to wrap your head around about some of the guys that are playing consistently on the DP World Tour that have this status. It's just like Eric Barnes has just been like playing this tour. Not to be a drive-by on him, but he's just been playing this tour. You wouldn't even know, it's.
I think it's
playing like all of these guys.
It's so weird.
But okay, so you got 2 down. Let's see. I mean, we're down to the deep range. I'll go first. We'll bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
I'll start off with Jonathan Goth Rasmussen.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a golfer. I swear we were betting him. I at least tipped him once last year at 1,000 to 1. I'm pretty confident in that. And I mean, last year he was a back and forth player. When he would pop down to the Challenge Tour, he had a win and a top 5. Prior to that, he was just kind of doing well in the Nordic Golf League. Nothing too crazy of a profile amateur-wise compared to some of the other guys, I would say. But just steady, fought himself up. And then so far this year has a win on the Hotel Planner Challenge Tour. 10th last week, through 54 holes inside the top 5, I believe. And then he missed a cut. And then before that, he was T31, but at the halfway point was also in the mix. And then if you look at last year, at this event, he was T53, I think, overall, 68-68 in the middle, which, again, encouraging, and not the same course, but enough that I've known who this golfer was. He seems to be very distance heavy in a profile, and something on the DP World Tour, man, where home country players, I feel like we've talked about this often, get a bump of some sense, whether it's familiarity or it is, the motivation, the spot start that you get to take advantage of. I mean, I have 2 Danish guys on my card that I'm wrapping up with, and Goth Rasmussen, based off of the Challenge Tour form, felt like I thought he would be shorter price personally.
I think, to be honest, what that probably is, whereas in like the PGA Tour, yes, you always hear like the Van Rooyen going to Minnesota or whatever, right? In terms of, I think that's where it was.
He missed the cut every time there, but I try every year.
Yeah, you get that. Ultimately, America's America, right? Like you're not really gonna get anything. Whereas Europe, you are specifically going to your home country, and all of his friends will be out there. Now, Jonathan Goff Rasmussen is going to go and play an event for the next 20 weeks, and there won't be a soul watching him, like at all. And
except maybe Ryan French going Monday Q last week to Ireland. That was awesome. That was some really cool stories.
He was really good. And like, I just that must be, I know it comes with like this pressure of like, okay, well, I've been given a sponsor's invite or a spot start and I really need to fulfill it, or I just want to play well. When you've got 30 people just cheering you on rather than just absolute crickets, it must have a benefit if you're good enough to handle it. There's 2 ways. If you're just not very good, then you're not going to handle it. But if you're a great golfer, then you should be getting a bump from that. Like, I think it goes right down to amateur stuff, right? Like if you just go and watch someone that that's kind of in a scratch handicap playing a tournament, you just give them a bit of support, they're going to show off a bit and play better. So, I think it's a lot to do with that. I also just think he's obviously pretty good and just doesn't have status secured, or didn't have status secured before, and just struggled to get starts, right? Like, I think there's a lot of players out there just ready to go. They can get a run.
Yep, I agree. Okay, bounce to you. We'll go back and forth. So you want to go with your first long shot?
Yes. So for me, I came down onto Dan Housing or Hazing. I don't know how they pronounce it these days. But they were talking about him on commentary on Sunday, interestingly, and I'm pretty sure they were just sort of saying that he was struggling and it's far too robotic and there's not much natural flair to his game. The guy was in second place at the time. He was 4th at halfway. I feel like we need to lay off him a little bit. He's a career sort of journeyman. He's won 3 times, I think, on the Challenge Tour, but like he's been about and he's done it. He's 36 years or 34 years of age. Like, let's just let him live. It was very much putter based, both at the KLM and the Nexo Championship, but he finished 19th at both. And I just think back-to-back starts since he's come back up on the DP World Tour in 19th was impressive enough. Then you factor in that location form that I talked about. In the last 2 times that he's played this tournament, he's finished 8th and 10th. The 8th 3 years ago was a fun around 62, so maybe you can overlook that a little bit. But 2 years ago, he was right inside the top 10 all week. He was 3rd after 18 holes, 4th after 54. So there's obviously just something about Denmark that he just really likes. I mean, he's kind of from Holland, so it's not a massive reach that he's going to be there, right? So yeah, I think for me, just enough at 300 to 1 as a 3-time Challenge Tour winner, as someone that plays well in this country to go on and make about them this week.
Still wear the goggles? Didn't he have I think that was just that like storm that he had those goggles on when he was playing the one time. Or maybe that was Whitnell. That might have been Whitnell.
Yeah, Whitnell wore the goggles, and he's going to do that every year in the desert, by the sounds of it. Like he has to wear, they're basically just like swimming goggles because they get in his eyes. There is a Dutch player that used to have the goggles across it. It wasn't but
first name I can see the picture in my head when he wears those ones.
Great picture. So they are eccentric, the Dutch. But I just think he's overpriced. Hard time to see him win. Maybe a top 10, top 20 play for people that want to do that and can't get each ways and stuff. But is someone that I think can get in the mix. He's been third in the Kazoo Classic a couple of years ago. Didn't do an awful lot wrong on the Sunday. Played really well. So yeah, Richie Ramsey won that, and Grant Forrest was in the top 3. Dan Torp, Sullivan. It was a decent field. So Guerrier and Waring above him as well. So he can get in the mix if he needs to, and he's playing pretty well as a
sure. Awesome. I will go last pick here. So fresh odds. Now again, I'm in Florida, so we have a special Hard Rock book down here. 500 to 1 actually in Hard Rock. 350 on Rivers here if you want to each way with it. Tom, there's not many golfers that you're going to get that deep down the odds board that have 3 top 20s at this event in the last 4 years that also are not DP World Tour members at the same time. John Axelson, way down here. I mean, he was kind of the OG of like, who's going to show up at this event and be motivated from playing in their country and like feel very confident. It's just him. He rips up this event on the Challenge Tour. He was a winner there the same year. I think that would have been 2022 when we first kind of had Axelson, or 2021, where, he was T17 at this event, ball striking amazing. His only DP World Tour event of the year, where he had also won on the Challenge Tour, or the Nordic Golf League, in the Maiden Himmerland. Then the next year, he won 3 more times in the Nordic Golf League. Then he gets on the DP World Tour, finishes top 20 at this event. And then last year, full-time Challenge Tour member, pops up top 20 on the Danish Golf Championship. And what really honestly intrigued me, he hasn't been that good on the Challenge Tour. Right now, 67th. Like he's not going to get his DP World Tour card at this point. 1 top 5 Swiss Challenge, 2 other top 25s. But when he really popped up for me was recently at the Open Championship. He made it through final qualifying, and then he was 20th after the first round. Now, super short game driven, but you see our guy, John Axelson, on a front page of a leaderboard at the major championship. You kind of mentally note it, right? Like, holy cow, this is something for him. Now, last week went back to the Challenge Tour, T30. Links, both those kind of being links into links, Irish Challenge. So maybe more traditional golf setup where he's, from and comfortable. I just think it's a crazy number, not just course history driven, but I think he has a ceiling to him, still very young. I mean, 27 years old. Like, I think very highly of John Axelson at this point.
Well, to your point as well, it's not even like course history, right? It's event history, because the courses have changed multiple times on this. It doesn't seem to matter where he plays this tournament. When he played it 4 starts ago, he was 40th, but he was 12th going into the final round. When he played it 3 years ago, or 3 starts ago, he was 10th after round 1, 14th after round 2, finishes 17th. Got better every round 2 years ago, finished 17th again. And then last year, for the first time, he was really in the mix. 3rd round 64, he was 4th going into Sunday. And actually, Sky, when you look at kind of like last year on the Challenge Tour, he went on a little run of like 8th at the Scottish Challenge, 19th in this event, 5th on the Challenge Tour again, and then 2nd at the Big Green Egg tournament. He went on that 4-run spell. And maybe it's just like time of year. Now Ian's going to get a start in this. Seems to be towards the end of the season every year, August, September. He does seem to play well. So it just takes a lot of time to get in the mix. I don't know. It might just be, struggling.
It might just be John Axelson season right now.
Yeah. It's season 500 to 1. I've seen worse bets.
Yeah.
So just have to make one, actually. So.
Yeah. Let's finish off with yours. Yeah. But I like Axelson.
Mark Warren has won this tournament. He won the inaugural staging in 2014. That was his 3rd of 4 DP World Tour wins. So, as a veteran presence, pretty good. Recent run of form, and started with a 25th at the Danish Challenge, which is what caught my eye. 8th for the Swiss Challenge, where Axelson played well. He was 3rd after 54 holes there, and then he finished 9th a week later as well. Past 2 weeks, he's gone back to Scotland, 21st at the Scottish Challenge, where again he was he was right in the mix, 5th after 36 holes, 9th going into Sunday. And then last week finishes 19th thanks to a final round 67. You add to the win, he finished 4th in this 2 years ago, 14th as well in the past. There is an affinity for kind of English and Scottish players in Denmark. And to be quite frank, it's because it's not different. Like, I've been to Denmark, it's like being in England and, you know, Scotland. The weather's pretty similar, like the setting's pretty similar. It's very friendly. So I think they just feel comfortable in this part of the world. And the run of form's good. Like, it's pretty decent. I don't think you need to see a lot from these types of golfers. I mean, he's 400 to 1 just to see anything. A bit like Axelsen, apart from the fact he's not a home player, that he's got a win, a 4th and a 14th in this event. Axelsen's got 3 top 20s, and they're down here at 400 and 500 to 1. And they've both got recent good finishes as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Ryan Baroff school of method is your last one round. And, you know, Warren shot the round of the day, to your point, on Sunday. And Baroff feel like hit 2 winners a week at this clip, you know? Yeah. So I think it's a good tip of the cap there. We'll wrap it up to give a shout out to all of our audio listeners, Tom. I don't know, also for YouTube listeners, thank you for leaving the comments. If you saw, someone did say my mic was better last week. So I think we're on the up and up for this. So you can find us for the audio listeners, Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets. YouTube listeners on Mayo Media Network. Again, super thankful for the opportunity that Pat gives us. Really cool that Pat was out last week at the FedEx or the St. Jude Championship. Awesome to follow and track along with that. Super excited for what he gets to be involved in supporting us in this show. So again, rating, review, subscribe, leave comments. It goes a really long way for Tom and myself to continue this show. So Tom, if you would like to review your betting card from the top, and then we'll close out with mine.
Yeah, so maybe a broken record, but I'm sticking with Christopher Reitan at 20 to 1. I think he's the best value at the top of the market. We've got Oliver Lindell, consensus pick for both of us, at 55 to 1. And then I just go a little bit more wild at this point. Dan Housing at 300 to 1 and Mark Warren at 400 to 1.
Awesome. I'm in on Sammy Velamaki, 35 to 1. Jacob Skov Olesen, 45 to 1. Oliver Lindell, 55. Andreas Holverson, 100. Jonathan Goth Rasmussen, let me double check the price. He's 350 to 1. And then again, best available, John Axelsen, 350 if you live here in Florida, 500 to 1 available. Again, I love this event, Danish Golf Championship, just the support it gets. So it'd be super cool to hit, hopefully, a dual winner together this week. So thank you as always, Tom, and thank you everybody for listening. And we'll catch you here again. Stretch run of DP World Tour headed up. So make sure you follow Tom on Twitter at Tom Jacobs 93. You can find me at Skyhook DFS, and we'll catch you guys soon. Take care.
Thanks, Greg.